All right, this is a completely new experiment. I'm going to actually go find out if this is even working. And I don't see anything happening on the stream yet. So I'm just going to wait a minute. So if you can see something happening on stream, please leave a chat in the YouTube so that I can see that we are actually live, because I don't actually see anything happening. So let's see. Stop streaming, in broadcast. I do not want to do that. Yeah. So we should be good to go. Okay. Oh, yep. Sorry. We are good to go. So that was my confused opening. Welcome to Exercise Your Rights. Obviously, we're experimenting today, and I am going to try to do a live open mic. This has been my dream since 2020, because I had a live open mic, an in-person open mic, that of course got canceled. And in 2020, I can, you may wonder why the in-person open mic got canceled. But it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I've been trying to figure this out ever since, how to do this. I've used different platforms like StreamYard. They're all great, but it takes a very, very particular setup to be able to do an actual open mic where people can come in. Theoretically, next week, the link to join this open mic will be in the chat. You can come into not into the studio where I am, but you'll be going into a Google Meet, and you will be able to read your poetry, and we can actually participate weekly is the plan, and do this open mic thing. And I'm super excited. And I have to credit Timothy Green over at Rattle for even telling me how to do this. I have been stalking him on the Rattlecast, which is every Sunday night. And you can find that link in Authortunities, which it's another open mic event like this that anybody can read. Awesome program. You can find that link in Authortunities, which is down below. But also go check out the Rattlecast on Sundays. And thank you, Timothy, for telling me how to do this. I mean, maybe I should thank you afterwards to make sure that we actually know how to do this, but so far, so good. And now we're going to do a really quick little video.
Grab some paper, grab your pen, open Authortunities, and you can begin. When you exercise your rights and get published, you may change. Write your own path, both wonderful and strange, with Authortunities.
All right, so hopefully that had sound, because, I can't hear from back here. So the idea is right now you'd be clicking the link, you'd be getting in the Google Meet, I guess, audience background, and I will be bringing people up one at a time. And so that's how it works. When you come in, make sure you're muted, because otherwise people will be able to hear you on stream, which might not be great. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a poem, and then we're going to bring up our first guest, which is Rebecca Cuthbert. So, and I should have asked how to pronounce that before, so I'm sorry, but Rebecca, if I butchered that, but let's get going. I'm so excited. I think this is actually going to work. And I mean, I have total confidence that this is going to work. So I'll go ahead and read a poem, and then we'll switch to our poets. I sound so pleased about that because I'm so excited. All right, a poem. This is a Haibun, The End, or How to Break Up with a Book. The End. I guess I don't have to read the title again. Can you tell I'm focusing on too many things? Okay. I stand alone on the park path, broken-hearted, and as you walk away, the rain begins, and I realize you took not only my joy, but my umbrella too. The drops fall thick, plastering my hair to my face, ruining the makeup I artfully applied this morning, and camouflaging the fat tears that roll down my cheeks. When you said you had something important to tell me, I expected romance. Why else would we meet where we first met? But you always need to be center stage, and your final act impacts, fracturing me, my plans for next weekend, us. My epicenter schisms within the cage of my chest, struggling to contain all the sobbing, shattering spasms that threaten to break me like the iron sky is trying to drown me, and the air to suffocate me, and gravity to pull me down and bury me in this grave mistake I have made. And I laugh. And I laugh and I laugh and I am laughing, not because I love the feeling of my world exploding into emotional shrapnel, but because I know my shattering dreams will fall into a grander design than yourself, centered on yourself, could ever know. Our paths have now parted, and I can see mine has never been straight. But despite the wrong turns, ups and downs, and pitfalls, it has led me here to this sodden and soaked moment, bereft and baptized by storm. My infernal engine still beats, pushing blood, pushing me forward. I breathe, having lived long enough to know an end never is, and this goodbye may be forever or just for now. But now I need to go forward, looking forwards to bury you with. I will exercise this pain with pen and shelf you alphabetically as fiction. Time to turn the page, another chapter finished. This is not the end. And that was the end and how to break up with a book. And this open mic has officially begun. And the other thing I will say before we hear from Rebecca is feel free to drop all your links, promote yourself in the description, in the comments below. And that saves me some work from having to go back and try to edit the the description. But yeah, feel free, share your books, share your websites, especially readers, in the comments. And now let's hear from Rebecca. And don't forget to unmute yourself when you come on stage. Whoops, that is not it. Hold on. Just a second. Oh, okay. Yep, I just figured something out. It's going to stay on the window that I'm at. So. And now.
Okay. I'm on. I hope I'm on. First of all, Angela, thank you so much. And you did not mess up my last name. So my last name is Cuthbert. And today I'm going to read 3 poems. I want to read an angry poem, a sad poem, and a happy poem in that order. Okay. So the first one is called Lake Erie Omen. It's part of a collection called Self-Made Monsters that comes out in October from Alien Buddha Press. And it was originally published in the Sirens Call e-zine last summer. Okay, so this is Lake Erie Omen. You call me an omen, good or ill, but I have a name and it's not Bessie. That tourist's barb, that cheap shot glass logo. But how could you landlocked Bruce understand? You with your broken scavenger's tongue, mine deep-toned chantings from nightmares long since dreamt. Do you know what I've done with your zebra muscles? Did you think their weak shells could colonize me too? Foolish men, I wear them like jewels, like the crown I've surely earned, for who else would spend eons ruling over this lake bed, doling out petty fates for lesser monsters like you? Don't think I do not mark you always, standing on the shore, pretending not to see me. Stupid driftwood doesn't blink. You know the lore. To spy me with dry feet on sand foretells a death by water. It may be a drowning or something with more flair. Your neck caught in a coil of rope, a slippery deck and a step misplaced. But if, as they say, you're lost in a storm, flimsy boat tossed like litter, like the floating trash you are, I might afford you pity, me, your queen of scale and bone. The second poem I would like to read for you is called Nothing Would Hush, and it is modeled on Theodore Retke's Root Cellar, so you might be able to hear that. So this is Nothing Would Hush, and this is from my first book. It is a poetry collection called In Memory of Exoskeletons, also from Alien Buddha Press. Nothing would hush in that farmhouse kitchen. Vile whispers in the rafters, tired sighs and groans and more. Gold-rimmed plates cracked like last week's intentions, spilled over from the dish rack, broken, useless, old, ignored. Add a long line to the week's long chores. Flapped open dishcloths shrieked, peeked from half-closed two-stuffed drawers, calling to damp-stained tea towels left to grow their black mold spores. A cacophony of crashes, shatterings, savage as bright new malice, bent butter knives, rusted, clanging to the floor. Seafood forks, mugs, jelly jars, soup bowls, stacked and clattering in cupboards with no doors. Nothing consented to muffle its scraping. Even the tea kettle joined the uproar. Okay, and the last one I want to read is called Driving by Willowbrook Cemetery, inspired by true events. Driving by Willowbrook Cemetery, I see a sign just inside the black iron gates. Angry block letters on a no-nonsense placard. No dog walking allowed. Fuck's sake, don't bury me there. I may have hated more than I've loved in this gnawed, raw, gobsmacked, ground down life through which I've dragged my imminent carcass, however. And I can't overstate this. Dogs are the break we've never deserved. A balm for quotidian misery and no skeleton yet, flesh and sound mind still mine. I hereby declare, let each dog quite literally shit on my grave. Lift its hairy hind leg to douse my chiseled name in the piss it saved up just for that walk through a sun-soaked rural graveyard with its best friend on the other end of the leash and me, a stranger 6 feet beneath its 4 feet. Because if I could see it, if I could speak, you bet your breathing ass and your last earthly dollar that I would say without preamble, without a goddamn second thought, for she without hope is lost. Excuse me, ma'am, can I pet your dog? Thank you very much.
That was so awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That last poem, by the way, I am now fan for life. I love that. I feel exactly the same way. And also, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I feel like this is working. So far, it seems to be working. And so hopefully it will continue to work. And next, we're going to have Anton Kanker. And yeah, hopefully I won't show you the wrong screen again. Let's find out.
Hello. So I'm getting delay on my end, and I don't even know if I'm in front of this, which is kind of funny to me because if I am in front of everybody, then I'm just looking like an idiot right now, and I'm okay with that. And I'm looking to see there. I'm not on yet. Okay.
No, you're on. It's just delayed. It comes like a couple seconds later. That threw me as well.
Fuck, dude. Oh, okay, good. I'm on now. If you didn't just catch that, my cat was attempting to murder me. If you did catch that, well, then good. You got to see my cat attempting to murder me. It's a pretty standard thing that I'm used to. But hello there. Good to see you. I'm Anton Kanker. I'm an idiot. That's about the most I have to say with that. Now, I do have some books published. They are available out there. I'll try to put links on the YouTube comments thingy. I'm really in pain right now. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read some things. Not in the professional way in which Rebecca was doing that, where, you know, reading things from books that you can actually like get in places. Instead, I'm just going to read things that you can't find anywhere else at the moment because it amuses me, and they're really filthy, and I really like writing filthy stuff lately. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the fire tongs and blade are ready when you are, my dear. I did it for you. Ran thin monofilament through the hole you asked for first all those years ago. The one for holding spikes and rounded protuberances. You wanted wetly sliding along your crock for that extra kick. Looped it tight around left and right pointer fingers, curled inward, grimaced, breathed deep, found my center, called on my ancestors, focused my chi, screamed to the high fucking heavens, then pulled as hard as I could until it popped loose from the pink nubby flesh and split it clean down the middle. Hand shaking, I re-pierced the muscle again and again, drawing thick, blood-sodden thread through it with each pass. Those threads pulled tight, tied off tighter to stop so much unsightly red from spilling from me before you could see. To be honest, my brain turned off somewhere in the course of that part. I wish I could have turned it off during the weeks of swollen, scalding, red iron heat agony that it took to heal, but what you gonna do? Did you do the same for me? Now? I've got the razor, and I'm pretty sure this wood-burning tool gets cauterization hot. There's enough Everclear and shine to sanitize the tools at the chopping block. You always compliment me on how well I sew, how clean and precise my stitches are. Didn't you tell me yesterday how amazed you were that I could patch your pants so quickly? I promise to keep that same precision and speed on you. Just think of how it'll feel. My twin oral snakes slipping around and through the space between your dueling heads, an eternity of interlaced eights traced in saliva and semen. Just the thought of your two halves guided along and around before rejoining to dive into me has my heart doing its own double-step tango in my chest, and that same interior self throbbing with dense heat, the chance for a doubled penetration without the ever-present fear of one-upmanship from another. Well, that has its intrigues too. So that was the fire, tongs, and blade are ready when you are, my dear. Let's go ahead and go for another smutty one. This one's also sacrilegious as an extra bonus because, you know, why not go for 2 hits in one when you can? This is the night a nun fucked the hell out of the devil and the dead stood up in the light. A bride before she knew what such things meant, given over soul and unquivered flesh to an idea that never had time to coalesce. She meant them. Every word as they fell from her lips, knees bent in supplication to forces above, as ordained in old, empty pages. But the sun met each day dry, angry, full of heat and rage, work and toil, the feeding of others, caring for children, adults passing double X in cloistered education, a giving over of self, cross-born to people neither asking nor deserving. Until he didn't quite come, not yet, but he did appear, became flesh, meaty, thick and muscular and fatty and real, veins pumping through meat, filling it with red heat, fully horned as it were, in the mortal sense. In the forbidden carnal sense. And her own heat grew, a reasonable enough biological imperative, denied by the ones who always had so much to say about the nature of nature without bothering to look particularly close. A pulse of desire for connection to others, an undulation of hips and need. The striations of meat were there, the acceptance of the needs of flesh, a knowing glance, a wink, a smirk, a slight lilt to the corner of the lips that made clear a desire for friction, for the smooth scrape of meat against meat, with glistening mucus excreted. So she met his ever-tightening spirals of keratin, caressing skinless, bared nerves with rough papillae, moaning, calling out for his invasion, for the force of his muscled membranes against her own bare skin, folds enveloping and consuming a meat bound without bone. And in their shared screams, in these ululations of fired bare neurons passed back and forth between, there shall be born those who refuse to be bound by the preordained cycle of death and birth, of maggots born in dead flesh, and the life that flies from within. Before piles of bone and their attendant tendon bound to meat, pulled taut of their own volition, upright and stalwart, meaningfully engaged in the application of constricted and relaxed muscles as they fight the expansion of bacterial expulsion and the expectant bloat that forces an upright gait through broken soil. And that was the night a nun fucked the hell out of the devil and the dead stood up in the light. And those are the two that I have set to go.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I have to remember to unmute myself every time. Thank you so much, Anton. That was awesome. It was also the most awesome entrance I think I've ever seen. And now we also are aware that there's going to be that weird delay, because I think in the very beginning that's what happened to me, where I was kind of like, am I on? I don't know. It's not showing up on YouTube yet. So that is also something to keep in mind. But that was freaking awesome. Both of you are awesome. Thank you, Anton. Thank you for Rebecca for doing this. I don't know if you guys have another poem to read, but we still have a little bit of time. So I guess I could read a poem real quick, and then when I come back into the studio, if you give me a thumbs up, I'll put you back on, because we're not even at quite a half an hour, and I want to do at least a half an hour. But also, I'm kind of gloating. Yes, I am gloating for just a minute of going, this is amazing, and yeah, I'm so excited about next week. Next week, how it will work is the link to get into the studio to read will be in the live chat, and then you can just click it and be muted when you come in and read when you come up on screen, and I'll say who is coming, and then yeah, we're open micing every Friday. So yeah, I'm gonna read a poem real quick. Let those guys grab something else if they do have something. No obligation. And yeah, and then I guess we'll end on a high note of this actually worked. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Timothy Green, for telling me the secrets. All right, and then I'll read Critical Bird Song, or The Rising Costs of Beachfront, which is another high bun. I've been all about the high bun lately. The birds played a dirge upon the wires, a last mournful tune for the forest, for the meadows, for the world. No one listened to their lament for melting ice and dusty lake beds. No one looked up to see the silent bird song punctuating a plea across our landlines. No one cared. We, the people, the perpetrators, went on our way full of bustle and hustle, far too important to heed a band of birds making random patterns. What do birds know? Until the birds went silent. Then we looked up to find the trees emptied of birdsong, leaves, and the annoying cicadas that horrified us. The barren landscape was finally devoid of spiders, dandelions, and other pests. Flies and mosquitoes, both history. We rejoiced at our newly created beachfront properties and moderately mourned those now under the sea. With the rising temperatures, every state could be Florida. We celebrated, but what did we know? Critical bird song, but our complaints were so loud, we missed the message. And now I'm going to pop over to the studio, or what do we call that, like the audience? Give me a thumbs up if you want to read again. I'm looking in the Google Meet to see who wants to read again. Rebecca, do you want to? Oh, I should probably. Let me see. I forgot that they can't hear me. Read. So here's one of those things that we'll have to be aware of. Okay. All right. So we're gonna have Rebecca read real quick. Let me make sure that I have everything ready. I am talking slowly to delay while I figure out what's going on. And here's Rebecca. And you're on.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was on. I'm flipping between screens, so sorry, everybody. Okay, the last one I'm going to read is another one from In Memory of Exoskeletons, and I'm reading this one for my friend Jonathan Gensler because this is one of his favorites. It's called My Father Has a Rack of Keys in His Kitchen. My father has a rack of keys in his kitchen, board big as a pizza box, hooks for days, 5 keys apiece hanging. Keys with labels in blurry, crabbed writing, not Dad's, and illegible. He doesn't own that many trucks. No one needs this many keys. Some held together by dirty twist ties. Mates in a life I'll never know. Old and rusty, small and useless. Bike locks and diaries long lost or stolen. Skeleton keys. Keys in a metal I don't recognize. Odd textured and cold in my palm. Secret gardens, treasure chests, haunted attics. When I ask my dad, what's this one to, and this, he smiles, the vague one that means he's not really going to answer. Could be something my father owned, or probably someplace we used to live, before he was born or before I was born. But the keys remain to scrap-yard lawnmowers, padlocks buried in the mud of ages. And then my dad, he takes the key from me like it's made of glass and not metal and puts it back always on a different hook. Thank you.
All right, this is going pretty well. We will have to figure out how to do that delay because I keep trying to talk to people and I realize I'm muted in the Google Meet. So that's another thing to figure out. But I think on the whole, this is going pretty good. I'm going to go over there and see if Anton wants to read. And I just realized he can't hear me. So I'm going to type to him. Want to read another. And then we will be figuring out these few glitches so that I can do this without having all these weird unnatural pauses as I'm clicking a million buttons. And so I'm going to say that Anton does want to read. I'm looking at him, but I know he can't hear me because I'm in the future and we might surprise him. So.
Okay.
Whoop.
I think I'm on at this point. This is always really weird. I'm used to reactions from people, and the only reactions that I get are my pets looking at me like I'm stupid, and there's an eyeball on my screen staring at me. It's all just a weird thing to do. None of that was a poem that I was reading. That's just me being weirded out by this whole experience of like doing these things. So anytime that I sound weirder than normal, my apologies. But I will go ahead and read one from a actual book that I have. So this is The Story Doesn't End the Way We Want All the Time. You'd think I'd know the name of a book I wrote. That would be knowing things, and I'm not good at that. It is a collection of poems that are based off of the first Silent Hill game, specifically with like approaching how that deals with trauma and what that does to people. So let's go with this is kind of a fun one. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. The Physics of Self-Harm and Equilibrium. It's a sad truth that sometimes the only answer to violence is more of the same. Equal opposing forces and all of that. Interior struggles differ no more in that regard than exterior ones. Our demons, after all, deal in blood and sacrifice. Pleas of love and forgiveness neither appease nor absolve them. And so we find ourselves engulfed in thunder and lightning, in exchanges of energy until one or both are exhausted in the other. So yeah, that was The Physics of Self-Harm and Equilibrium from This Story Doesn't End the Way We Want All the Time, available through Dragon's Roost Press. I feel like such a whore doing those things as far as like trying to sell the books, even though like we put the effort in making the thing. And yet it's still really weird to tell people like, hey, so this thing I worked really hard on and I like a lot, like I think you should like it too. But it feels really weird to say that stuff. So yeah, now I'm just rambling. I should probably just shut up. And so I'm just going to go ahead and
so if I ever want to do like something really crazy and like this could go completely wrong, let's see what happens. I ask Anton. I love Anton for that. I'm gonna say this is a success. I mean, it's glitchy. We've had a couple of awkward moments. That weird delay thing, I'm gonna probably have to figure out what to do there, but I think we can do it. And I'm going to call this a success. Next week, well, go to the link below and click into Opportunities, and you'll see the schedule when these are going to happen, but it's going to be every Friday, or I'm sorry, this is Saturday, every Saturday. Also, thank you again to Timothy Green for telling me how to do this. I have been trying to figure it out on my own since 2020, like I said, and this works. I mean, I'm not going to say perfectly, but it works, and that's all I need. And, yeah, and then just watch for this next Saturday. Next Saturday, everybody will be able to read, and I'll have like the rundown of what to do, and we'll have it a little bit smoother. So I'll probably make another test run during the week before we do this. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. You're awesome. Thanks for coming on this wild experiment, and I think we survived.
Grab some paper, grab your pen, open opportunities, and you can begin. When you exercise your rights and get public.